A couple of days ago, Dan Graziano brought back all this Jonathan Taylor stuff about how he doesn't want to play for the Colts and this and that. And they treat it like it was breaking news. Okay. So this video is to set the record straight. Okay. This is going to be the last time that we talk about this particular subject because the national media, they'll tell you one thing, right? They've been saying all along Jonathan Taylor, wants to be traded, and that could be true, could not be true. Don't know exactly what that situation is, right? But what I do know is that there are enough Colts beat writers, people that are actually part of the team and have sources with the team that have mentioned how the Colts have always expected at some point they would go ahead and pay Jonathan Taylor. That's always been the thing. They just want to see him on the field again, right? And we've talked about that on this channel. Jonathan Taylor said back in April, I believe it was, that he would play on his current contract. He would worry about the extension later. And then he hires this new agent who doesn't normally deal in the NFL. He's more of an MMA guy. And then in May, Jonathan Taylor's talking about, well, I want a new contract now. I'm not going to play without a new contract, da da da. And it's come to the point where we are now. And it's interesting how he's dealing with his, because Michael Pittman Jr., right? I mean, the wide receiver market, running back market are two completely different things right now in the NFL. But Michael Pittman Jr. wants a new contract, but he decided, yeah, I'm going to play. We'll see about an extension if I play well. And he's been great as a number one receiver. Like Michael Pittman Jr. is probably going to get the bag at some point soon. But in Jonathan Taylor's case, they just want to see the guy get on the field and look like himself again, right? They've talked about, especially Chris Ballard, the last press conference Chris Ballard had, he talked about how Jonathan Taylor is a special player and he's a special person and that they want him to be here forever. And according to Destin Adams of A to Z Sports, he has a source with the Colts, and this is a guy that I've been following for this whole situation. He seems to have the most inside news on this situation. And so he's been the guy that I've been paying attention to for Jonathan Taylor information. And he came out with this article just yesterday to let everybody know where everything stands. Okay, so you want to know where I get my information for Jonathan Taylor? It's Destin Adams. Okay, and this quote here from a Colts team source says, "We want him, Jonathan Taylor, to be a Colt for life. I think this entire situation has been blown out of proportion. We hope to get him on the field very soon and to see him play his best football to date. Contract extension talks normally flow naturally after that." So that there is exactly what we're talking about here, right? They just want to see him back on the field. So I think at some point we'll see Jonathan Taylor finally get back on the field, right? And we expect that to be sooner rather than later. It sounds like there's a chance he could be activated off the PUP list come Monday after the Rams game. And if that's the case and he's back in the lineup, then he's got a lot to prove. And listen, JT with a lot to prove, yeah, give me that. Okay, that plus Zach Moss plus Anthony Richardson. Please, man. Michael Pittman Jr. playing the way he is, the offensive line looking the way they are, Josh Downs getting integrated the way he is. Please give me all that. Okay, so if you're somebody that's going to hear all this information, be like, well, at this point, the relationship's not repairable. Not only did Chris Ballard talk about how it could be repaired because Jonathan Taylor, he values who Jonathan Taylor is as a person, but also as a football player. Right. And at the end of the day, money talks. Right. So this other quote from this Colts team source that Destin Adams has says, of course, it's repairable. At the end of the day, money talks. Right. And if this were a situation where the team didn't value the player, maybe I'd have a different opinion. But that's not the case. Everyone loves Jonathan here. And at the end of the day, like I said, we want him to be a Colt for life. And I got to tell you, those words, these two quotes that we're looking at, it sounds a lot like either Chris Ballard himself or Morocco Brown, who is the Colts assistant general manager who's been looked at for general manager jobs, but he's waiting for the right one to take one. So he's still here with the Colts. And in that instance, he could be the source, right? Jonathan's team is going to have their sources and their outlets, right? That's who's giving information to the national media, where guys like Dan Graziano are getting their information from Jonathan Taylor's camp, whereas the Colts beat writers are getting their information from actually in the building, which is why I pay attention to the Colts beat writers instead of national media. It makes a difference. People try to paint narratives through the media. It's been said plenty of times. Okay, there are podcasts all over the place. There are people from both sides, GMs and agents that have admitted that. So that is why paying attention to the actual team's beat writers in situations is where you're going to get real information from. So as far as Jonathan Taylor goes and playing for the Colts again, yes, he's going to play for the Colts again. If he doesn't play at all this season, his contract will toll into next year, which means whatever his contract situation is this year, it's going to be the exact same next year. It's like 2023 never happened. It just moves to 2024, right? Same pay rate, everything. And then he's still looking for a new contract. He has to play a certain amount for the Colts. Okay. And even if he only plays a certain amount, it's a certain amount of Jonathan Taylor. And if he plays that certain amount, and he is Jonathan Taylor, right? Like you can't just put bad film out there, especially when you're looking for a new contract. So Jonathan Taylor, if he's coming back, he expects to be the best version of himself. And that's what the Colts are going to get. Okay, because when it comes to the teams that want to trade for him, right? You look at this list of teams that Destin Adams put out, and it's the Miami Dolphins. They don't have the draft capital. Their running backs are fine right now, right? They're not interested anymore. Green Bay Packers, they could be involved. I doubt it. Pittsburgh Steelers, definitely in play, but would they make a move like that? Not really too sure. The Rams, I don't know. They just got done building through free agency, and now they're finally getting to a point where they can build through the draft. Will they do that and set themselves back in that way? Probably not. Right? They also have Kyron Williams, who they drafted. They're probably going to continue to go to the draft so that they don't have to spend money on running backs. That's the theme here. Pittsburgh Steelers, that's the reason they probably won't, because they can just draft another guy. Kansas City Chiefs have 3 running backs right now they're barely paying any money to. Why would they need to do it? I mean, sure, it would push them over the edge from a talent perspective, but would that really help them, right? They need pass catchers. Buffalo Bills, definitely a team that could do it. And the Washington Commanders, also a team that could definitely do it. So of all these teams here, there are really only 2 that I think are realistic, which are the Bills and the Commanders. But at the end of the day, who's going to make the Colts offer that they want? Right? They want first round picks. Who's going to do that? For a running back that if you're getting Jonathan Taylor, he's expecting you to give him a contract, right? Big time contract. So in that aspect, teams don't want to give up a first round pick. So at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, yes, Jonathan Taylor not going to get traded unless a team goes bananas, right? Goes all Herschel Walker trade and just sends the house for Jonathan Taylor, right? The Bills want to go all in for right now, for this year. Maybe they push it all in like that, but I doubt it. Okay, I've heard Brandon Beane talk enough that it doesn't seem like he's the kind of guy that's going to do that. And with the Commanders and their new ownership and their situation, they're unlikely to do that. They want to be able to draft young guys that they can shape in the image of the culture that they're trying to build. So I just don't see a way Jonathan Taylor gets traded. He's going to play for the Colts again because he has to if he doesn't want the same situation next year. So again, this video is to set the record straight. Jonathan Taylor will play for the Colts. Jonathan Taylor might want to be traded. That's cool, man. At the end of the day, he signed a contract. He has to abide by that contract. If he comes off the PUP list and he doesn't, and he chooses actively to not play for the Colts, he's going to get fined. Okay, he wants more money right now. He's not going to decide to take on all those fines and rack up all that money in fines when he's not guaranteed a contract at the end. He's going to play for the Colts. He's going to want to prove himself. He's going to want to make sure he gets the best contract for himself. So we are going to get the best version of Jonathan Taylor. That's what we can expect as Colts Nation. All the BS you hear from ESPN, Fox Sports, PFT, it doesn't matter. They're all going to sit here and try to get clicks and tell you that Jonathan Taylor is going to be traded. It's imminent. Jonathan Taylor's going here. Jonathan Taylor's going there. Jonathan Taylor's staying with the Colts because the Colts want him there. They value him as a player and a person. They want to get a deal done. They just want him to prove that he is going to be himself again, which I expect him to be. So that's what we can expect from Jonathan Taylor. I'm glad you guys decided to stop by for this video. If you hung around this long, then just know that about 83% of the people that come by this channel are not subscribed. And if you're one of those people, please hit that subscribe button. I do appreciate your guys' support. We are almost to 500. We're so close. Have a special surprise for everybody that decides to come around whenever we do get to 500. So again, hit that subscribe button. It means the world to me to have your guys' support. I'm having a blast through this NFL season, and it helps that our team is pretty good right now. All right, so with that said, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.